The sole purpose of this video is to provide a basic overview and orientation of your new apparatus. This video is not intended to act as or replace individualized driver-operator training. Individual fire departments may base guidelines, policies, and procedures tailored for best practices. Pierce Manufacturing and Hughes Fire Equipment representatives are not liable for injuries caused from acts resulting from actions inconsistent with the information provided within this video and/or accompanying manuals. Refer to the Operation and Maintenance Manual for complete details relating to the components and features of this apparatus. Only trained personnel should operate this vehicle or perform maintenance. You are responsible for learning how to operate this fire apparatus under all conditions without having to refer to the manual while operating at an emergency incident. This video will discuss types of warnings and caution labels. It is your responsibility to locate and identify each of the labels and understand the importance and associated hazards. Warning labels will point out procedure that must be taken or action that must be avoided to guard against the possibility of serious injury or death. Caution labels will advise you that there is a risk of damage to property if certain precautions are not followed. Continuous training, reviewing of operation and service manuals, developing good standardized practices will assist driver operators with a more complete understanding of the components and operation of this fire apparatus. As the driver operator of this vehicle, you are responsible for understanding the function of each component of the apparatus, maintaining control of the fire apparatus at all times while in operation. Make operational and functional changes while operating at an emergency without having to read operator's instructions or safety warning labels. Operate manual override and emergency shutdown procedures immediately if a component fails to operate properly. Components location may vary with each Pierce fire apparatus. Review the exact location of each component prior to operation. Major inconsistencies between your vehicle and the information contained in this video should be directed to your sales representative. Safe operation of any vehicle is the responsibility of the driver operator. You must learn the location and function of all controls, switches, gauges, valves, inlets, and discharges. Due to a higher center of gravity, heavy trucks have a significantly higher rollover tendency than other types of vehicles. To reduce the risk of rollover, avoid making sharp turns, excessive speed, and avoid abrupt maneuvers. In the event of a rollover crash, an unbelted person is significantly more likely to become injured or die than a person wearing a seatbelt. In the event of a crash, unbuckled occupants can also become a hazard to other occupants, as they may be thrown around inside the cab. Seatbelts are required while in operation. Please refer to your warranty certificates for details and information enclosed in your manuals. Customer-installed equipment must be mounted to withstand road travel and comply with NFPA 1901. Modifications such as drilling holes or welding to structural frame components of the chassis are not permitted. Contact Pierce for instruction and review of non-structural sheet metal or other dissimilar metals for modification. Follow the radio installation guide for further assistance on installing or mounting electronics. Before placing your new apparatus into service, perform a primary inspection of key components of the apparatus, including all fluid levels, anti-lock braking systems, electronic stability control, and automatic traction control. Weigh your apparatus to ensure that it conforms to axle and brake ratings. Never exceed the gross axle rating printed on the label inside the cab. Exceeding these ratings could lead to reduced component life, personal injury, or death. Review the use of auxiliary braking systems, compression brake, exhaust brake, electronic retarder, and hydraulic retarder. Before placing the apparatus in service, refer to the operational maintenance manuals. Information on the operation and maintenance functions for the components such as the pump, pressure governor, and foam systems, along with other options, is provided in either the Pierce manuals and/or other manufacturer support information delivered with the apparatus. If you need more information, please contact Hughes Fire Equipment. Congratulations, Queen Creek, Arizona, on your new Pierce fire apparatus, job number 34443. Please utilize this 5-digit job number when referencing your apparatus with Hughes Fire Equipment and Pierce Manufacturing. We'll get started on a brief orientation of your new apparatus. Just a quick overview of your passenger side vehicle. We'll now move to the bumper extension located on the driver's side. First, starting in the upper left-hand corner, this is your shoreline inlet. Moving just to the right, you'll find an air inlet, and then further to the right, you'll find a side-facing emergency warning light on the bumper extension. Let's take a look at some close-ups. First, starting with the auto eject shoreline, it is a 20 amp plug. Moving just to the right, you'll find an auto eject air inlet. Moving up onto the body, you'll find your turn indicator marker light. Just inside of that, you'll find the headlight structure housing the low and high beam headlights. On the inside will be the low beam. Moving up, you'll find emergency warning light cluster. Moving toward the center, behind the Pierce logo, is where you'll find your release mechanism to gain access under the hood. Let's move up to the windshield now. You'll find 3 windshield wipers on your seamless one-piece windshield. Let's move back down to the bumper extension area. On the face of the front bumper, you'll find your air horns and also electronic siren. Moving inside the bumper extension area, just under the lid, is where you'll find the storage location for your front bumper load and also a swivel 1.5" discharge. As we move to the mirror area, on the arm of the mirror is where you'll find a downward facing mirror. You'll also find a convex and flat mirror on the forward portion. Moving up to the very top, above the brow of the apparatus, is where you'll find your brow light. You'll also find emergency warning light above that. Located in the very center, you'll find your opticom, and then directly over the top of the light bar is where you'll find your spotlight go light. Let's take a look at the side of the vehicle. We'll identify a few items here. First, starting with your lower warning lights, you'll find 4 lower warning lights, and as we move to the upper portion, you'll find the 3 warning lights located in the upper portion. As we move to the front cab area, you'll find a side-facing scene light, and as we move to the body, you'll find 2 side-facing scene lights. You'll also find grab handles at all points of entry for firefighters. These are the 2 cab grab handles. Just lower than that is where you'll find the door latch, which is a keyed door latch. Let's move now to the notched area. At the very top portion, you'll find a dead lay and also backboard storage. As we move down to the bottom section, you'll find 2 cross lays. We'll go over those in just a moment. Let's first start with the cross lays. There's the number 1 and number 2 cross lay. They are water and foam capable. And just beneath that, you'll find the release mechanism to allow the speed load to be removed and loaded on the ground. Just to the right, you'll find a warning label here regarding entanglement hazard. Because of those hoses coming from aloft, there is the possibility of entanglement. As we move now just down to the lower portion, you'll find 2 2.5" discharges. You'll also find, because of those discharges, this warning hazard label indicating that caps may be under pressure. Be cautious when removing them. To the very center, behind the Pierce American Flag Eagle, this is your large diameter pump intake. And to the right, you'll find your foam auxiliary operations. Just beneath it, you'll find instructions regarding that foam operations, and then also a warning label here not to mix different brands or consistencies of foam for the possibility of foam failure. Moving just to the right, we have a warning label here regarding fall. Do not ride on or be cautious when climbing on the side of your vehicle. As we move down to the very bottom, you'll find a 2.5" female inlet. This is the driver's side auxiliary inlet. You'll also find all your color-coded labeled discharge drains. Here's a sample of the number 1 driver's side discharge. You can see it's red and colored, clearly labeled. As we move to the right, you'll find your auxiliary foam functions for inlet, strainer, and tank drain. As we move now to the pump panel area, at the very top of the pump panel is where you'll find a light illuminating, indicating that your pump is properly engaged once it's been engaged from the cab. We'll start in the upper left-hand corner of the image, first starting with your minimum operation maintenance schedule for 150, 200, and 250 psi. On the left-hand side is the associated GPM,
and on the right-hand side is the associated RPM. It does have a governed speed of 2,100 RPMs. Just beneath that, you'll find a warning label here that only trained personnel should operate this piece of equipment, and only after they've received proper training. Let's move just to the right here in the image where you'll find your foam A tank level indicator. It is the green module. As we move further to the right into the gray module, you'll find your master intake on the left-hand side. As we move to the right, you'll find your master discharge. Moving downward, you'll find your test gauge ports for vacuum and pressure. They currently have plugs located in them. Moving up to the upper right-hand corner in the image is where you'll find a amber indicator. This is the PCM fault indicator, and just beneath it you'll find an audible alarm speaker, which the outer edge of that bezel does allow you to dampen to reduce the sound or increase the sound depending on which direction it's turned. Just a couple examples here. These are all of your discharge drain or discharges. As we look in the upper left, the yellow indicating the color for number 1 crosslay. It's also labeled. You'll also find in all of these that they are independently labeled regarding the have foam capabilities. That is the red long indicator that you have foam. Each of those individuals does have a lock. Twist to the right to lock, twist left to unlock. As we move to the pressure throttle governor in the upper left-hand corner, if illuminated, it would be a check engine light. Located in the center, you'll find a digital readout for the RPM, and then just to the right, if illuminated, it would be a stop engine. As we move downward, you'll find diagnostic information for your engine, and in the very far right-hand side of that diagnostic information, you'll find diagnostic information for your pump temperature. Let's move down in the same module area where you'll find the blue module, which is your water tank level indicator for full, 3/4, half, quarter, and empty. As we move to the right, you'll find a red silence button allowing you to silence any audible alarms that may be sounding. As we move downward, you'll find the orange menu button allowing you to scroll through the various menu functions of your pressure throttle governor. There are two options, either pressure control mode or RPM control mode. To get that access, you'll use the blue button for control mode. Just to the right, you'll find a throttle ready indicator when illuminated, and to the right, if you choose, you can use presets for either pressure control or RPM control. Down at the very bottom, you'll find your throttle. Turn right to increase and left to decrease. At the very top section is where you'll find a digital readout regarding the mode that your apparatus is in. Let's move downward and just to the left in the image where you'll find two items I'd like to talk about. This is your tank fill and recirculating line. To the right, you'll find your tank to pump. Both of those do have locking features on the handle itself. As we move to the right, you'll find your deluge discharge. You can see it's kind of a pinkish color. It also has the lock feature incorporated in the handle. As we move to the very far right-hand side, you'll find the foam module. This is for your Husky 12 foam system. We'll also find your fire pump primer with priming instructions for enhanced operations at least 1,000 RPMs while priming. Down at the very bottom, you'll find two electric valves, first rear inlet and large diameter passenger side, and then to the right, you'll find your foam system instructions and also a specifications. Back up to the very top here, we're going to find your primer drain and flush valve drain. Those are twist, not pull. As we move downward, you'll find all your color-coded discharge drains. Let's take a look behind the pan door located just above those discharge drains. As we look inside, you'll find the yellow handle with instructions that match the back section of the informational placard. As we move inside that compartment, you'll also find your emergency pump shift. It is a protected switch with an amber indicator. As we move to the left vertical wall, you'll find your driver's side scene light and passenger side scene light switches. Just inside the compartment, when plugged into shore power, this outlet will be active. This is for your battery charging system to maintain batteries for your engine. Let's move from this location to the next compartment, which is directly over the rear axle. You'll find a pull-out tilt down. The outer edges are the release mechanism, or you can choose to grab the cable in the center for releasing that shelf. As we move down, you'll find on the left-hand side, this is a visual indicator for your DEF level. There's also the blue cap, which is a 4.5 US gallon DEF tank. As we move the lever, you'll find your diesel fill tank behind it. Let's move just to the rear section now, where you'll find the next compartment, which has a pull-out tray. The release mechanism is on the lower right-hand side. You'll also find a tool board, which has a D handle for releasing, Once it's in the open position, on the hinge side inside location, you'll find the release mechanism to store back to its original position. Here are those things in the open position and tilted outward and pulled out positions. Let's take a look at the rear of the apparatus. First, starting at the very rear, you'll find your brake, turn, and reverse light indicators. As we move upward, you'll find your lower emergency warning lights. And then as we move toward the very top section, you'll find rear-facing scene lights for passenger and driver's side. Let's move just inside of those lights where you'll find two panned doors. We'll talk a little bit about the contents of those in the next set of images. In the very center, you'll find your backup camera, and above that, you'll find your traffic advisor. Located to the very far right, you'll find an additional pan door that does have instructions. I've got a little bit closer view of that, and you'll also find your powered equipment rack module control. Let's take a look first at the rear scene lights. You'll also find a warning indicator regarding fall hazard. You shouldn't ride on or climb on the side of your apparatus while it's in motion. Just to the right, you'll find a pressure hazard warning. Caps may be under pressure. Be cautious when opening them. As we move to the right, you'll also find that entanglement hazard. Because of those hoses coming from that bed above, there is the possibility of entanglement. And then once again, a fall hazard. Never ride on the vehicle while it's in motion. As we move to the right, you'll find your powered equipment rack. We do have a danger here because of that moving hydraulic equipment. And then also to raise instructions and also to lower instructions. Moving just inside that pan door, you'll find your hand operations for your hydraulic rack. There are instructions for raise and lower. You can see the handle in black matches the instructions on the visual indicator on the back of the door. Moving downward, we'll find a pull-out tray. The release is on the right-hand side. In the upper left-hand corner in the image, you'll find the rear inlet. Also, I'd like to point out this ladder does move outward away from the back wall and then drops down. There is the possibility of pinch. Be cautious when moving this operation. In the upper left-hand corner, we're going to find in this pan door your 10-foot folding ladder and then also long-handled tool storage. As we move to the far right-hand side, you'll find the exact same thing. This is just above the step area. You'll find a D handle gains access into this space. And on the far right-hand side, this is the passenger side, you'll find 3 locations for long tool storage. Let's take a look now at the passenger side. We have all of our compartments in the open position. Let's start just underneath the rear at the rear axle. You'll find your rear inlet air bleed. Moving inside now to the compartments, you'll find fixed shelves at the lower section and then also a pull out and tilt down shelf. Once again, the release mechanism is the cable. As we move forward to this location, you'll find the fill location for your ultra low sulfur diesel fill. It is a silver cap. Instructions are on the back of the panel. Also, you'll find SCBA bottle storage here. We have 2 on the left-hand side and also 3 on the right-hand side. As we move upward, you'll find your SCBA storage locations. Once again, those are pull out, drop down. Ultra low sulfur diesel, this is the fill location. Once again, silver cap. As we move to the next compartment forward, you'll find 3 trays here that pull out. 2 of them will tilt downward and 1 is a direct pull outward. The release mechanisms are all on the right-hand side. Let's move now just beneath that compartment where you'll find the rear inlet and manifold drain. Let's move to the notched area where you'll find first in the upper left-hand corner a warning label regarding do not climb on or ride on the side of your apparatus. You'll also find the 2.5-inch strainer. As we move toward the center, behind the Pierce logo American Flag Eagle, large diameter pump intake, and also a pressure hazard warning regarding caps may be under pressure. As we move down, we do have an additional pan door here. We'll talk about that in a moment. And at the very bottom, you'll find all your color-coded and discharge drains. Moving to the right, we're going to find your large diameter pump discharge. This is for the passenger side. It does have an override, which is on the lower left-hand side. Once again, large diameter passenger side discharge. As we move back, just a quick reminder for fall injury when climbing on or off the vehicle. And then also just to the right, that pressure hazard warning. Caps may be under pressure. Be cautious when opening them. As we move down to the pan door, this is in the lower left-hand corner. As we look inside that, you'll find this switch regarding your rear inlet. Let's move now to the crosslays. We'll start at the very bottom where you'll find the number 1 and number 2 crosslay, water foam capable. Also at the very bottom, you'll find the release mechanism for that speed load to remove it. Once again, you'll find a warning label here regarding entanglement hazard. Because of those hoses coming from this area outward, there is the possibility of entanglement. Let's move upward from this location where you'll find your dead lay at the forward section, the release mechanism for that tray at the very bottom. You'll also find backboard storage access from the passenger side. Let's go ahead and move from this location to the cab area. We'll discuss a little bit starting here at the driver's side door. First, starting on the left-hand side of the image is where you'll find all of your information regarding warning, caution, and hazard labels affixed to the door panel. You'll also find seatbelt information, and at the very front section about the left knee of the operator is where you'll find your red quarter-turn master battery switch. This is going to be affixed to all door panels. These are all of your warning labels combined in this area for easy visualization. Above that, you'll find all of your window controls for all 4 windows in the cab area. You'll also find the latch mechanism for opening, the release mechanism, and the lock for your door. As we move downward just below the seat area pedestal, you'll find your battery voltage. When plugged into shore power, this will become active. You'll also find at about the right ankle of the operator, you'll find this placard. It is the manufactured for your department from Pierce. It houses information like the date of manufacture, the 5-digit job number, gross vehicle weight rating, cold tire inflation, the VIN number, all of your fluid capacities for the components and fluid types. Let's move downward and forward to this position to the floorboard where you'll find your air horn foot pedal and also siren control foot pedal. To the right, you'll find your brake treadle, and further to the right, you'll find the accelerator. Let's move now to about the left foot area of the operator where you'll find your tech module. This is when performing maintenance on your vehicle. And then also you'll find an additional module here for your engine, transmission, and ABS. That'll be the green module. To the right is a display port. And as we move downward, you'll find some switches here and indicators. First, ABS information, and down at the very bottom, this will be your regen and DPF regen switches. Let's move upward from this location to the instrument panel. First, starting on the left-hand side where you'll find a red hazard switch. This allows you to turn on and off your four-way flashers. Just down from that, you'll find your ignition and start switch. Both of those have indicators when active. Moving to the right, you'll find an EM switch, which stands for Emergency Master, allows you to activate or deactivate emergency warning lights. Also to the right, you'll find your headlight, and also further to the right, you'll find a panel switch. This allows you to brighten or dim the lights within preview of the driver. Let's move all the way to the very far right of the column, where you'll find an OK to engage your high idle and an OK to engage your high idle indicator. As we move upward, we'll find at the very bottom your transmission oil, DEF level, and water temp. On the right-hand side, you'll find your volts, fuel, front and rear air. In the center, you'll find your speedometer and tachometer. We do have diagnostic information that displays above and below those two indicators. Let's go ahead and move overhead of the operator's position, where you'll find this yellow placard indicating the height of the vehicle at 11 feet 3.5 inches. The length of the vehicle, 33 feet 6 inches, and a gross vehicle weight rating of 49,800 pounds. If you make any adjustments to your vehicle, please update this placard. As we move to the right, you'll find emergency lights. First, Emergency Master, roof light, front warning, and side warning. Down in the next section down, you'll find the lower rear warning, upper rear warning, and then you'll find Load Manager and Opticom. When any of the lights have been activated, the outer edge of that bezel does illuminate. Moving further to the right, you'll find your front flood, driver's side scene, passenger side scene, and rear scene. You'll also find a siren brake for your mechanical siren, electronic siren mode, an air horn, and then also a momentary Opticom switch. Moving further to the right from this location, we're going to find your Whelen control module for your siren and also PA speaker system. As we move further to the right, you'll find your traffic advisor, which is located at the rear of the vehicle. And then as we not pictured in the image, it is your pull to apply your system parking brake and push to release. It's the yellow diamond on the left-hand side of the image. As we move upward, you'll find your Pierce command zone. Tremendous amount of information at your fingertips. Please see your owner's manual for more information. Your Allison digital transmission pad. It's a push button pad. And to the right, you'll find your siren control module, and then we'll find some switches underneath that. Let's go back up to the pump and neutral for your Allison transmission pad. As we move further to the right, you'll find your EQ2B. This is your federal siren control module. As we move downward from this location, you'll find your engine brake on and off, a setting switch for low, medium, and high, a drug cooler, stationary OK to pump and roll indicator, and also your water pump and foam system pump. Once again, when any of those have been activated, the light will illuminate within the switch itself. As we move further to the right, you'll find your control module for your go light. This is a spotlight over the light bar. You'll also find mirror controls at the very top section for the left and for the right mirror. Let's move forward to this location to the forward section near the windshield, where you'll find your climate control and defrost. As we move outside, this is just a placard here regarding your supplemental restraint system, indicating your airbag location and also seatbelt information. You'll also find instructions here, the mechanism as to when they're deployed, what they will operate. Moving now to the rear section of the cab is where you'll find, once again, affixed to the door panel, all of those warning and safety label information. You'll also find a red grab handle at the hinged area for gaining access in and out of the cab. Once again, here is your information regarding warning, regarding occupant crash protection in the rear area. As we move toward the center, you'll find a few items at the rear section of the engine, which we'll go over next. First, you have two 12-volt access points here. They are USB style. Also a lift and turn latch in the center, which will gain access to the rear portion of the engine. This allows you to gain access for your daily checks for your oil and transmission. Let's move from this point to the rear seat of the driver, where you'll find your siren control module. You'll also find a speaker for your backup system and also a volume control on that speaker. As we move to the passenger side, you'll find the location for your unit radio. This is the storage location. Also, just a reminder, when you're opening the doors, all of your steps will automatically auto-deploy. As we move now to the driver's passenger area, this is going to be the officer location. You'll find those warning labels affixed to the door panel. You'll also find a few warning labels here regarding not mounting of equipment within this area because of your supplemental restraint system, your airbag located in the same vicinity. You'll also find these candy cane labels indicating a warning that there is loose wire behind this, or wire that dead ends with different types of access points. Those are for information purposes only. This is the warning labels regarding your occupant crash protection equipment. Once again, don't mount anything within this area. We'll move just inward of the officer's location, where you'll find the air horn, electronic siren, and siren brake. As we move just to the left in the image, you'll find 12-volt AXA via USB style, and then you'll also find your Go Light control module for the officer's position. In the very front section, you'll find your vehicle data recorder port. Let's take a look at some close-ups of the items we just talked about, first starting on the left with your air horn, electronic siren, and siren brake, and moving up to the very front section, a close-up here of the vehicle data recorder. Let's move overhead in the officer's seat location. First, you'll find push on and off depending on the lens you touch. That will indicate the color, either red or clear. You'll also find, once again, these warning labels here regarding wires that terminate behind this area. As we move to the right, you'll find your AM/FM weather band CD radio. And as we move just to the center location, you'll find your pump pressure via digital readout. Also, you'll find a water tank level indicator, which is the blue module. And then just to the right in green, you'll find your foam tank level A indicator. Just a quick point out of those loose wires, for example. This is the wiring indication. It's candy cane around the outside. It has the option number, the wire termination type, and also location. Quick close-up here of your stereo system. And then as we move to the exterior of your truck, I would like to point out the ladder here. It does move outward away from the back wall and downward. There is the possibility of pinch, and that's why we have those warning labels. Let's move up on top of the truck to the hose bed area, where you'll find these yellow diamonds that are reflective, indicating the edge of the walking surface for firefighter safety. The vehicle does have two hatch compartments on the passenger side and then two hatch compartments on the driver's side. Each of those compartments offer dry deck material inside and LED lighting. As we move now to the dunnage area, I'd like to point out this is the top fill location for your water tank, and then also top fill location for your foam level A tank. There is a warning label on the foam tank here I'd like to point out. This is a warning regarding not mixing different brands or consistencies of foam for the possibility of foam failure. Let's remain in the dunnage area. Your vehicle is equipped with a top mount exhaust. Extremely hot diesel exhaust temperatures may be present within this area. Moving forward to this location, you'll find your master stream device, and then as we move back to the rear wall, you'll find your Husky 12 foam system hydraulic reservoir with a sight gauge. Moving back to that exhaust, extremely hot temperatures may be operating within this area. Use caution. Also, as we move to that same rear wall, you'll find your hydraulic oil reservoir. There's also a sight gauge and fill location. As we move to the master stream device, it does have an extended gun, and you'll find the instructions on the actual device. As we move to the forward cab area, you'll find this is a non-walking surface, and that's why we have this warning label here regarding that there is no railing and also that the surface may be slippery. As we move to the ladder rack, you'll find a 24-foot extension ladder, and on top you'll find a 14-foot roof ladder. Congratulations, Queen Creek, Arizona, on your new Pierce Fire apparatus. If you have any questions regarding your vehicle, please contact your Hughes Fire sales representative. Thank you and congratulations.